Did you hear? NASA's new telescope just captured proof of alien life. Fake news. It's everywhere. And do you know what the biggest source of fake news is? It's not TV, it's not social media, and no, it's not the person on the other side of the political spectrum from you. The biggest source of fake news is inside your head. Our brains have the enormous job of processing the tons of information coming in at us every second of every day so they can ultimately keep us alive. We rely on them to quickly make sense out of everything, to detect potential dangers and discomforts and direct us on what to do. But can we trust them? Contrary to what many people believe, our brains don't just reflect and respond to some objective reality. They actually construct it. Let me illustrate. Connect these dots to form a picture in your mind. You got it? Okay, show of hands, how many of you saw a house? Good. How about a star? Okay, and any lightning bolts out there? Ah, good. Who's right? I don't know, but the point is there are many ways to connect the dots. And those dots represent facts, as close to objective reality as we can get. Facts are the things you can know for sure right now through your direct experience. Let me say that again. Facts are the things you can know for sure right now through your direct experience. Anything else is a fiction. Our minds are problem-solving, thought-generating machines designed to connect the dots to create a full picture that helps us understand our experiences and drives our reactions. They do so by making predictions, assumptions, judgments, and interpretations. Our minds set expectations, draw conclusions. They tell us what it all means. These fictions are mental fabrications. They don't exist in the real world, yet they help us navigate it. And just like MSNBC and Fox News can take the same set of facts and put a very different spin on it, our minds can do the same thing. Someone important, like your boss or your partner, says, "We need to talk." I'm in trouble. What did I do wrong? Or, cool, they must have good news to share. You wave at me, and I literally walk right past you without waving back. She's rude. Or, oh, she probably just didn't see me. You make a mistake. I'm no good at this. Maybe I should just give up. Or, yikes. Okay, well, I learned a valuable lesson for next time. Do you see how the same facts could lead to anxiety, anger, defeat, or excitement, compassion, and resilience, depending on the spin? Our minds are master storytellers, adept at taking bits of sensory information and weaving them into a cohesive narrative that shapes our world. We get caught up in their fictions, conflating our thoughts with reality and treating them as fact when they are, in fact, not. So what happens then when our brains connect the dots in an unhelpful way? And this happens way more often than you might think. Here's why. Because our brains have to process so much information, connect so many dots so quickly, they've developed some shortcuts to speed things up. And while efficient, these shortcuts lead to some biases or glitches in the way that we think. Imagine cave people sitting around the watering hole when suddenly they hear a rustling sound in the nearby bush. Those who assumed it was a predator could run to safety. If they were wrong, big deal. They lived to be wrong another day. If, however, they assumed it was the wind and it was really a saber-toothed tiger, the results could be catastrophic. So, human brains developed a negativity bias that makes them more readily tune in and hold on to bad stuff. And you know this bias. If 9 people tell you, great job on that project, and one says, thought you kind of blew it, which one weighs more? Yeah, or how about this one? When you start to anticipate the future, say how your date or your job interview is going to go, do you what if about the positive outcomes? What if I nail this? It's the start of something amazing. No, of course not. Our minds focus on the things that could go wrong because that's what they're designed to do. The negativity bias is just the tip of the deception iceberg. Our brains take it upon themselves to filter out whatever facts they deem to be unnecessary or unimportant. For example, without looking around, how many doors are there in this building? That's an available fact. But unless you've been sitting here plotting your escape, your brain probably judged that to be irrelevant and filtered it out. Imagine what else it might be hiding from you. Sometimes facts make it through the filters and still get ignored because of the confirmation bias. This is our mind's tendency to selectively favor evidence that supports what we already believe to be true, while conveniently overlooking or dismissing anything to the contrary. The confirmation bias really helps lock our beliefs in place, and it's one of the main reasons you can't convince that person on the other side and why they can't sway you. There are many more shortcuts and biases. Suffice it to say that our brains deceive us in the interest of being efficient and effective. They really do want to keep us safe, just not necessarily happy. And that means that when left to their own devices, our minds can turn into fearmongers, shouting opinions and conjecture like the talking heads on TV, influencing our decisions and skewing our perceptions. And when we fall victim to mentally constructed fake news, we pay the price with a suboptimal life experience and a lot more suffering than is necessary. I know I certainly did. I was born with a rare degenerative retinal disease that makes me legally and increasingly blind. Until just a few years ago, there was no explanation for why I can't see. Leading experts in the country told me that while they didn't know what it was, they were sure it was stable. They were wrong. When I hit my mid-20s, my vision began to decline. The changes are stepwise and unpredictable. Every so often, I have a few days of wobbly vision and eye strain, and then I just see a little less than I did before. I never know when these changes are coming or how big they'll be, and I don't know if they'll stop. I hit a real low point when my vision loss progressed so much that I could no longer drive. I felt my world caving in as I lost opportunities and independence. I was consumed by fear and sadness because I knew there was no way I'd be able to do the things I wanted to do. And I knew that others would not accept me when they realized the magnitude of my flaw. And deep down, I knew there was no way I could be happy with blindness. Or so my mind told me. For too often, I took that dark narrative as fact, and it kept me stuck. I withdrew, and I wallowed, and I grieved the loss of my future, resigning myself to this new reality. But I finally got so tired of being miserable, of staring down the barrel of a bleak future that I did not want, that I knew something had to change. My vision is a fact. I can't change it, but I desperately wanted to be happy. I didn't know what else to do, so being the professional nerd that I am, I dove headfirst into the science of happiness. I read everything I could get my hands on, and I came across an actual study that compared the happiness levels of blind people to sighted people. Do you know what they found? Absolutely no difference. What? That was unexpected. Science was directly contradicting what I knew, correction, believed to be true. Now, data may not speak to you the way it does to me, but I took this as proof positive that my mind just might have it a little wrong. Bolstered by this first inkling of hope, I was determined to seek out more contradictory evidence, which I found in the form of Isaac Lidsky. He's a TED speaker, an author, an Ivy League educated attorney turned businessman running a multi-million-dollar company with a beautiful wife and family, and he's blind. He was living proof of another possibility. These new facts were encouraging. I longed for a different reality, one in which I could be legally blind and be happy, successful, and surrounded by people who care about me, flaw and all. Yet, try as I might, I just couldn't quite talk myself into believing it. I needed something more compelling, more convincing, and I got it. I'll tell you how, but first, a little detour. I was on the varsity gymnastics team as a freshman in high school, and I can still do a standing backflip. Do you believe? You're already laughing. Do you believe me? Now, if you're anything like the kids I work with in my psychology practice, you're looking at me with blatant skepticism. Thankfully, I can't really see your faces. There are some perks. But you're probably thinking, yeah, right, lady, you're way too old to do backflips. That's cool. I get it. I am older than most gymnasts. But what if I told you I've been consistently practicing for 25 years? It's really easy for me. Are you convinced? Yes. I am surprised. I was expecting not 100%. So, what would it take to convince you definitively? I'd have to prove it. Do a flip right here. Okay. I'm just kidding. Oh, and I lost the mic. All right, that's going to be awkward. So, all right. For the record, I can't and never could do a backflip. I was a terrible gymnast. I was only even on the varsity team because all the older girls got kicked off for breaking school rules. But I share this story to illustrate the most powerful strategy for revising those fictions. We build belief through behavior. Rather than mistaking fictions for facts and blindly following our mind's directives, we have to defy them. We must test out their assumptions, daring our brains to prove it. And in doing so, we create new experiences and uncover new facts. That's what happened for me. I am well adapted, according to my doctors. That just means I'm really good at faking sight, pretending to be normal. It's a survival mechanism. I spent most of my life trying to hide my disability because, well, I was ashamed. My mind told me that no one would want me personally or professionally if they knew the truth. So, unsure of whether I was going to cry or vomit or both, I said, prove it to my brain, and hit publish, sharing my story online for everyone I know to read. And once the fear and the vulnerability hangover subsided, I realized nothing bad had happened. In fact, people were supportive, and I actually felt a little bit better. So I kept going. I started being honest. I can't see that. And asking for help. Can you read that for me? Could you give me a ride? Would you mind waving when I walk in so I don't awkwardly wander around trying to find you? I took even bigger leaps by starting my own business and forging new relationships. I put myself out there in ways I never would have even considered before. And do you know what happened? None of the awful things my mind promised. Not one. With each step, each time I said, prove it, I gathered new facts which shaped my new reality. Surprisingly, people still seem like they want to spend time with me. I've had more professional opportunities and successes than I could have hoped, and I've figured out how to do life independently thanks to magnifiers and Uber. I've collected hardcore, irrefutable evidence that I can be happy despite vision loss. I wonder what lies your mind is telling you and what it might be costing. Far too often, our brains deceive us. We accept their fictions as truth without realizing that fictions can be edited, revised, or deleted altogether. Not anymore. Separate the facts from the fictions. Go on a fact-finding mission and demand proof. Stop falling for mentally constructed fake news and start living your new story. Thank you.